Views expressed on this episode of the Came to Believe Recovery podcast do not necessarily reflect those of KHLT, Take 12 Recovery Radio, or our affiliates. The opinions on this episode should not be taken as medical, psychological, or professional advice and are those of the host, co-host, and guests. KHLT and Take 12 Recovery Radio are not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. Well, greetings, my friends. I am the Monty Man from Take 12 Recovery Radio, and this is the Came to Believe Recovery Podcast. And now, here are your Came to Believe Recovery podcasting broadcasters to launch us forth on this week's show.
Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Came to Believe Recovery podcast. My name is Alicia Martinez, and I am here with Tom Williams and the Monty Man. Hi, guys.
Hi, Alicia. Hi, Monty.
Hey, Alicia. Hey, Tom. Hey, everybody. What's going down?
I'm out here in the peak of fall in New Jersey.
In the peak of fall.
Cold.
So
Is
the
it cold?
weather, the fall foliage is at its peak.
Well,
It's just spectacular. For a couple of weeks, it's just the colors. So it's in a good place.
so what do people do in New York when all the leaves fall? And I mean, do they just? I guess there's not that many. Is there a lot of trees in downtown Manhattan?
No, nothing there.
No.
There's no. Yeah. Out by me, there are a lot, but I'm in New Jersey now. Yeah.
Okay.
They pick them up, blow them, take them away, suck them. The machines come around. But
I know some 12-steppers I'd like for them to pick up and blow them and take them away.
yeah,
What? That's not very nice.
I know. What is?
very
Oh my
nice.
gosh! I can't even. What?
Yeah,
I
give
can't find my
yourself.
stuff. Oh,
Where's the fart machine?
Yeah, give yourself. Yeah.
oh my goodness sakes! I think we have an icebreaker. I think.
But first, it's time
Yeah.
for the Came to Believe Recovery Icebreaker.
It's that time of the show where we ask the question, what does Alicia's shirt say?
You're going to like this one. This is a
All
new one.
right. Alicia's shirt says, "Inked and sober." I love it. 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 I love it.
Isn't that
Do you have a
cool?
tattoo? Do you have tattoos?
I have many tattoos.
Many tattoos. Tom, what about you?
Not a one.
He's
Not
been talking about getting one, though, for a couple years now. Right?
Well,
Maybe.
Yeah,
have.
Tom. Have you?
I've talked about it. Yeah.
He
Yeah,
wanted
just don't
a
do your
phoenix,
eyebrows.
the
And
phoenix bird on
Yeah. I've
his.
gone as far as
Okay.
going to talk to a tattoo parlor about doing it, and how much it would cost.
You've talked. Okay, did you know? Okay, here's a bit of useless and mindless information in our icebreaker that really fits with your shirt this week, Alicia. Did you know that there are some tattoo parlors now that offer to put you under while you get your
Really?
tattoo? And so my older son said, he goes, doesn't that kind of defeat the whole experience and the purpose of a tattoo?
Well, not if
Huh?
they're wimpy. It hurts.
You're supposed to feel the pain. It's a rite of passage. So
I almost cried.
I'm like, so the last tattoo that we got, my boys and I got it. It's hard to see it on the camera, that little round thing. That's Half Dome in Yosemite National Park. And that place, we don't have time to talk about it today, but that place holds a very special meaning in my heart, and my family. And so Cameron got his done on the inside of his arm, and he was thinking during it, he was like, why am I doing this? This hurts so bad. And then when he got all done, he was like, let's do another one.
And that's what happens. You get one, and then you get another, and another, and another, and another.
So Tom, just plan on more than one. Inked and sober. That's cool. That's very, very cool. Yeah, right on. Tom, what do you want your tattoo to say?
Well, it would be the Phoenix. I think that's what it wouldn't say anything. It would be
It'd be the logo.
but black circle with the Phoenix like on my arm.
Yeah.
I wouldn't regret that. It's Phoenix Rising. It's something I can
Yeah.
own.
I like that.
So somebody said $300. They would do it.
Ooh, that's all spendy. Well, here it'd be about 150.
So,
But
Then-
you're in New York, so
and I think, well, at this point in my life, if I had an extra $300, is that what I should do with it, or should
Yes. Yes, it
Yeah,
is.
yeah. You guys say yes. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Well, and there are some other, when I poll anybody, not that it matters, but when I take a poll about a tattoo, I do not get a positive response from people. So
Yeah.
about a tattoo. So it's not it's still on the table. So Alicia, don't worry. It is. I think about it, and
I'm calling your sponsor.
Well, it's not a priority, I'm sure.
No.
We have a lot going on right now and Came to Believe, and the last thing you need to do is worry about getting a tattoo.
it's there you go. Wisdom from Mrs. Martinez.
Yes. I know that song.
So do I.
Okay, so Alicia, you can't say it, but you think you know what that is, right?
I think I do.
Think you do? Okay, we'll find out next week.
Yeah, I know for sure.
Last week, Jason P. from Prescott, Arizona. Do you guys remember what it was?
I don't.
I don't remember.
Tom knew it at the time. I think it was the Andy Griffith Show.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Andy
Yeah, I
Griffith
wasn't sure about that one.
Yeah. That's right. That's
I
right.
was going to try to give a really hard clue to say the star of it had gone on to be one of the greatest directors and directed Apollo 13.
What's his name?
So, as
Richie. He was on Happy
Ron
Days.
Howard is the
Ronnie Howard, right?
yeah, he directed Apollo 13 and Backdraft and a bunch of stuff.
Dune, yeah.
Dune,
all-
yeah, he's gone on to big,
Yeah.
much more. I mean, he didn't make anything really on that. It's all, and Happy Days was a big thing for him, really.
Yeah. American Graffiti. He was in American Graffiti.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Jason P. is going to get one of these. This is a cool little thing. It says recovery music on it. There's 1 gigabyte of recovery music in MP3 format here for Jason. And if you would like one of these little charms, send us an email at take12radio@comcast.net. That's TAKE, the number 12, radio@comcast.net. And tell us guess what that little ditty was that I just played. This. Yeah, yeah. And even if you get it wrong, you may get one of these. I may feel gracious this week. But you got to email, just like Jason did. Take12radio@comcast.net. Say you want your recovery music flash drive. And there was
Yes. And we should add to people, if you want us to hit a certain topic, or if you have questions about us, personal or otherwise, email and we'll do it. We'll let you know. Whatever you ask, we will tell you.
And by the way, I am
Maybe.
holding in
Be
my
very
hand.
afraid.
I'm holding in my hand, listeners, and if you're watching on our video version, you can see I'm holding in my hand here a list of the top. There's a couple pages, list of the topics that we have for you coming up, and I'm not going to tell you what they are yet, but let me tell you. Alicia, you are like rocking it. Some of these they're all really, really good. I'll tell you one, listeners. Religion versus relationship. We're going to be talking about that
We already touched a little bit on that,
before,
didn't we?
right?
And at another show, but we could go deeper and stuff.
Oh, here's what I can't wait for: high bottom versus low bottom.
I like that. That's a real thing.
Yeah. No, as we do shows and something comes up and one of you says, "Oh, we should do a show on that," I take a note. And that was one of them.
Yeah.
Complaining. Okay, I'm going to be sick that day.
But it's important to talk about.
There's
So
a whole-
many people do it.
I know. I'm excited
all do
about these
it.
topics. These are awesome. These are great. Okay, we're going to. That does it for the icebreaker. Inked and sober. Is that what it says? Inked,
Yeah.
Inked and sober.
Inked and sober. So if you really want to rock your recovery, go get a tat.
You can be inked and sober.
We'll talk about it off the air. There's a whole bunch of opinions about that are just taken out of context. But if you'd like to know my opinion, I'm not going to tell you. I mean, I don't know. I got tattoos.
You have tattoos, so you
Right.
can't say a word.
Yeah, I can't. I really can't. I'm pro tat, but there's some reasons why you can email me. Just email me. I may send you a gigabyte of music. All right, that wraps it up for that. We'll be back. Don't go away. Hey there, my friends. Thanks for tuning in to this week's Came to Believe Recovery Podcast, a production of the world's oldest recovery talk and recovery music radio station, Take 12 Recovery Radio. Did you know that we have thousands of archive shows, recovery workshops, and recovery music, all available for you for fun and for free? Here's an idea. Right after this episode, visit our website at take12radio.com and subscribe on any of the podcasting platforms listed there. Why not begin enjoying the best in recovery talk and recovery music, all at take12radio.com on your internet dial. All right, Tom and Alicia, listen to this really close.
Came to believe in the strength we find in the voices kind, leaving past behind. Experience so deep, lifting spirits high, holding hands and hearts as the tears run dry.
See, you too can have your own jingle.
Wow.
Maybe. I'm not going to tell you how. You got to find out for yourself. Yeah, there we go. The Came to Believe jingle. We have a jingle. Jingle, 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 jingle. Yeah, there we go. What do you think, Tom? A little jingly, jingle, jingle?
Yeah, it's not going to be our anthem. It's not our official
Too
song, but
slow.
nice.
Too slow,
Nice.
jazzy.
What do you think, Alicia? It doesn't have any electric guitar. There's no drums. But that
like
was
it.
quite a surprise, Mr. Monty. He was waiting all day to do that,
Oh
Alicia.
my gosh! By the way, before we go to the topic, today is International Caps Lock Day. Just when you thought they couldn't come up with another registered special day, the U.S. government is recognizing your keyboard. So the Caps Lock button on your keyboard, it's International Caps Lock Day. I can't think of anything more stupid than that.
Yeah, I don't even have a comment.
No comment.
All right. This week's topic. Alicia, what are we talking about?
We're talking about cured versus recovered when it comes to everything Came to Believe recovery and AA.
Cured. Well, we got some eyebrows going up now. Cured versus recovered. You sent, and I forgot to print it out. You sent us a really good article. Do you have that?
I have portions of it. Yeah, I
Yeah,
found that
right.
on the web.
Are you going
But it
to
was-
share some of that with us today?
I will when it's time.
When it's time. So cured versus recovered. So this has been a bone of contention within the rooms of the 12 steppers for a very long time. And we talk about, well, you're always going to be recovering. You're never going to fully recover. Or, yeah, you can recover, but you're not cured. Or you can be cured. Well, where do we land with all this?
Well, I think before we go, I mean, there's so much to be said about this, and I found some
Yeah.
great definitions. But in some cases, there's some semantics involved, and there's certainly a state of mind involved. But there's definitely some definite great references in the medical world and medical conditions and physically that back one way or the other. But let's set a little groundwork, I thought, which is, what is it that the founders and the guys of Alcoholics Anonymous, what did they think? Right? What did they say? Right? The first page of Alcoholics Anonymous says the story of many. This is the 3rd edition. The story of many thousands of men and women have recovered from alcoholism. So they thought they recovered. So I think it's important to say that being recovered is something that was an experience that the founders thought. So I think recovered holds a more, a stronger place in our argument than recovering, because there's not an argument for that really in the big book, right? Monty, you might know that better, but there's not an argument to say we're always recovering in the big book. But there is an argument to say that if you do what they did, you'd be recovered.
Yes.
Now, what takes it to the next step now, if you say, okay, let's say, all right, we've done away with recovering. That's not a thing. I mean, you can be recovering, right? That's up to you, but you don't have to be. They were recovered.
It depends on where you are in the process of following the directions.
Right. We've all met people who said, I don't know about recovering. They talk for a minute and you go, well, yeah, you are recovering, right?
Yes.
You haven't had the spiritual experience. You're not recovered. So there's a place for it, but our goal is recovered if you want what they had. Now, there is a reference, and I think there's more than one. Monty would know better than me, but there's at least one reference where Bill Wilson does refer to himself as being cured.
Yes.
So there lies the conundrum. He went as far as saying I was cured of it, right? So I went to, this is going to be really interesting, guys. I went to Webster's and looked up cured, and it says a recovery or relief from a disease, something that cures a disease, a course of treatment. Listen to this: a complete and permanent solution or remedy.
That's what it is.
A course or period of treatment, and the sentence under it says in Webster's, take the cure for alcoholism.
Interesting, isn't it?
That was very interesting. In Webster's, it talks about that. To free something objectionable or harmful, to prepare, especially by chemical, that's different. To restore to health, soundness, and normality. This other one says relieve a person of the symptoms of a disease or a condition, eliminate with medical treatment, solve a problem. Well, with those definitions, couldn't you maybe say we were cured?
I think you could make an argument for that.
You could make an argument, right?
So I think here's the deal, though. I think, for instance, I believe Merriam-Webster's, I'm going to paraphrase out here, when it describes recovered, it's a returning to health or normalcy.
Well, I'm glad that you said that, because I happen to have Merriam-Webster.
Do you have it?
Recovered, of course.
Read that to us, and then I want to.
Right. It says, and I thought we would use Merriam on both of them, so we're consistent in the thought, the definitions. It says exactly, Monty, to bring back to normal position or condition, to obtain from, to save a loss. That's it. To regain a normal position or condition as of health.
So, I think under the title of recovered, you can have a lot of explanations of what that means. That would also apply under the title of cured. But under the title of cured, I think there is less that would apply to recovered. That makes sense. So a lot of the things that you said under cured are definitely statements of somebody who has recovered. But I don't know that recovered means cured. And so here's what I was always taught, and maybe I was taught wrong, but my mentor shares this very frequently. If you're talking about illnesses now, If you're cured of illness, it means that the disease or the illness itself is gone. It is gone. It doesn't exist. If you're recovered of an illness, it means the symptoms are gone, but the illness still exists. And you've heard me say it a million times, and it was on some of the talking points that Alicia sent out when I talk about the peanut allergy, right? If I'm allergic to peanuts, I eat peanuts, I get sick, I go to the hospital. While I'm there, I'm in recovery from the reaction to the peanuts. Once the reaction is gone and they've dismissed me from the hospital, I have recovered from the symptoms of the peanut allergy. Am I still allergic to peanuts? Yes. Yes. Am I affected by the peanut allergy? As long as I don't eat peanuts, no, I'm not. Right. But I still am allergic to peanuts. One might make the argument for diabetes, like the example that you said or showed, Alicia. There is a school of thought, however, in the medical profession today. They're divided. Some say diabetes can actually be gone. Others say absolutely not. Once you're diabetic, you're always a diabetic. They've come into some argument about that. We definitely know this, that the symptoms of diabetes can be controlled and not return, providing you take care of yourself properly. In the case of myself, I no longer take insulin. All the numbers that would say that I'm diabetic are not there. But we know that I am, because as soon as I misbehave, the symptoms come back.
All right. So now let me go, because I found some more. You said recovered fits cured, but cured doesn't necessarily. No, recovered fits cured, but cured doesn't fit recovered as well. Right?
Right.
So here I found the term recovered has the following meanings. 1, to regain a normal position or condition, especially related to health. 2, to become completely well again after an illness or injury, completely well. 3, cured, healed, or having regained health after an illness. So
It's
here
wrong.
is a definition of recovered that does state cured.
Yeah. Is that Merriam-Webster's as well?
This one is from Oxford Dictionary.
Oh, okay. Well,
So, I mean, I'm just,
maybe.
we're just,
Do you guys say you're cured? I've never heard you
I
say
don't
that.
say cured. I think it confuses
either.
people. And I mean, we're hard enough getting recovered versus recovering,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So, I
I
mean,
think when we say cured or someone says cured, like this passage in here was like, well, then that should mean that I can go out and drink now.
well, that's the whole thing, that you've been recured. If you've cured of alcoholism, then you can drink alcohol. It won't affect you the same way.
You would
Is
think
that a
so,
true
right?
statement?
Well,
though?
yeah, but
Well,
wait a
maybe.
minute. Let's go to pneumonia. I got cured of pneumonia. But
So
if
we
I'm
can get it
exposed to it,
again.
I could get it again.
But you might not.
But
So let's say, just for argument's sake, a giant gnome comes down from the heavenlies and zaps you with his magic wand, and you no longer have the phenomenon of craving when you put alcohol in your body. We're talking about the alcoholic now, right? And you test that theory out, and you have yourself, a whiskey and 7 or something, and nothing happens. You don't want another one. You don't care. In fact, you may not even finish it. Is that enough evidence to say you're cured? I don't think so, because we know of a myriad of people that have done that, and eventually it turns on them again, just because you don't have another drink that day. So I don't know how you would even test that.
all right, well,
Find out
okay,
if you're cured.
that's fair. But that's what I did, Monty. When I relapsed, I was so far from it. I had a glass of wine, and that's all I had. And then I didn't have it. But when I'm honest, and I had to be honest with you, there was some willpower. That glass of wine did feel good, and I wanted more. It wasn't the full-blown phenomenon of craving, but I stopped but I didn't really want to. I could keep going. So for me, I wouldn't have said I was cured. I was playing with, if I again engage in the behavior, it's like diabetes. Like if you go back and eat and get yourself, you could then be susceptible again. I stopped working 10, 11, and 12. I took back character defects. I changed my mindset. I went back engaging in that, and I was managing everything in my life based on that old line of thinking that worked better when it was drinking, and began to use that. And it took some time, but I, like you said, went right back when that wasn't that long to the thing being at worst, right? Worse than the condition before, like the Bible says in one.
Like a house swept clean, that if
the condition
we don't
is
keep a
worse.
vigil on it,
Right.
the demons come back with.
And
So-
this now returns to the slop. You know that one in Peter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think the reason that we have, I may be wrong here, you guys, but I feel like the people that have the most problem with these definitions is the faith community. Because that's where I hear the complaint from. I don't hear it from many other
Because
people.
they want you to be recovering.
No, because they, why can't you just stop? You're cured now. You're cured now. I had a pastor friend of mine said, well, you haven't had a drink in all these years, so you're cured of alcoholism. So that means, and he told me, so you could have a glass of wine. I said, well, if I was cured, if it actually was removed, if the illness, in other words, the allergic reaction my body has, the way my pancreas processes alcohol, all that has completely changed, and my metabolism is 100% different, you may be right. I may be able to. Unfortunately, part of my alcoholism is my sin nature, and I'm not free from that until Jesus comes back. So now we have shifted from a medical condition, right, to a spiritual one. So what do you do with that, Pastor? And he thought, he goes, well, you got a good point. I go, yeah, because my alcoholism just isn't a medical condition. There's a spiritual problem here too. And so even if I was cured of alcoholism, there are worse things than drinking. I still have a mindset of a sinner saved by grace. I don't walk around going, I'm a sinner saved by grace. Oh my gosh. But I recognize the fact that there is nothing good that lives in me. No, not one thing that is in my sinful nature. I recognize that. So I have to put myself under the authority and the obedience of Christ on a daily basis, not because I'm walking around looking behind my back and I'm scared, but because I know that I will stay safe and secured in that as long as I do that. Paul talks about it.
Yeah. So now I'm going to bring Alicia in to this thing that I know she struggles with. So, but it would be something that I would struggle with too. I think the food thing. So let's talk about this food thing. So we've often said, let's say you said to me, I have to control my drinking. Like not quit it. I have to control it. Far harder. And that's what it is with food and with some other things. Food is, you got to eat. So the food addict has to learn how to control it. So when you feel recovered, are you in control of it? What kind of effort? I mean, I don't understand it because I don't have that thing that is out of control.
Yeah.
That manifests that way. I certainly had the thing when it came to drugs and alcohol and things. That do you feel cured? Do you feel recovered? I mean, how much effort, you know what I mean? Does it take, do you feel like, I don't know if I'm asking this the right question, that you're white knuckling it all the time? Because I don't know if I could control my drinking. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think I could.
I go back and forth, and then there's so many different things in the food, because I'm in another program just for sugar and carbs.
Yeah.
So there's people that weigh and measure, but they still eat carbs. There's some people that are just no processed food. There's people that I'm kind of sugar is a thing, and volume addiction. Like I need to eat or want to eat a lot. So, I mean, there's so many different avenues when it comes to food because we have to eat. In a couple days, I'll be 6 years of me saying it out loud at a Celebrate Recovery that I had a problem. But I still question, and I talk to Tom about it quite often, like, it hasn't been a straight line of like 6 years. I feel like the obsession comes back and then I fall down certain things. And so I don't know if I should just let go of that 6 years. Like, did I relapse? Did I not? Who cares?
So I got a
I
question.
get caught in that because with food, it's so hard.
So wait, you see where this comes from, Monty. I'll tell you where. And she's got a point in this one thing is that she binges and does all the sugar she wants 3 times a year, right? Or 4 times.
4 times a year.
Right. So it would
But
be like us saying, okay, we're going to manage our drinking, but we're going to get hammered 4 times a year. That's our
Right.
freedom.
Right.
And so it is a different thing. And I mean, then she says, did I relapse? Because I do that? Well, why wouldn't you maybe think that way? I mean, I'm backing you in how I could see how you might think that way.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my question, Alicia, though. We know that Tom and I know that when we put alcohol in our body in any form, it does something. It sets off something in our metabolism that causes what the founders called, and they still call, the phenomenon of craving, which means we have little or no control over how much we drink or how often, right? So anybody can have the phenomenon of craving. You don't have to be an alcoholic. Anybody can want more, right? To the point where they end up getting a DUI. Anybody can do that. The big difference isn't that. It's how we think about alcohol when we're stone cold sober. That's the big difference. That's the obsession of the mind.
The same thing with food addicts. We're thinking
That's what
about
I'm gonna ask
food
you.
and
So
sugar all
if-
the time.
So if
I'm watching
you're gonna-
you guys, what you're eating, how much you're eating,
Right.
why you're not eating. It's constant.
So if you're being a good Alicia for 6 months, and then you put a Hostess cupcake in your mouth, right? Do you have the same biological reaction? Does that set off a phenomenon of craving to shove more Hostess cupcakes in your mouth, or not?
Well, I would say yeah, but so does just eating steak. It happens with steak.
So you want more steak?
I just want more.
Okay, so portion control is a problem.
It's.
Well, it's not because it
I
doesn't
don't.
have any
I
of the
don't
bad
think
effects.
it's a problem, but it's a. Yeah, I don't know. It's so confusing with food. I swear, it's just
Well, she
like crazy.
she will say, yeah, but when you look at other people, it's not like you're dying to have it. You're saying, why are they eating it? It's very you're being judgy.
Yeah, I
not-
don't.
You're not.
Yeah,
so
I don't
that's
want
the
it.
difference, Monty. She's not craving it when she's not drinking. I've been around. I've traveled with you for 3 years now. Well, I've never heard you say, God, I need that sugar so bad. I can't wait to have it. Not once. So I would say you are recovered. You don't suffer from the symptoms of it on a daily basis that you're fighting.
See, I agree. If the symptoms are gone,
Right.
even if it's just a week, if the symptoms are gone, that week you're in a state of recovered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then let's go back when you said, because 6 years ago, I started, and then I said, well, I'm still going to have dessert. It was 3 times a year. Or actually, I started with 1, and then I felt okay with that too. And now it was 4. And this month is my next one. But since then, talking with Tom and other programs, I have decided I'm still going to have the dessert, but it's going to be sugar-free ice cream, sugar-free chocolate, and nuts. That's my thing. So I've decided, just because of the thoughts and the 4 times a year and how obsessive, I'm like, I guess that's a step 10 of like, yeah, that needs to go. Is that a step 10, or is that me in denial saying I was relapsing 4 times a year? You know what I mean?
It's
Should
so,
my
it's so
date?
different with food. I think it
I
has to be
know.
approached in a different manner. I don't think we can even, in some ways, we can compare it to alcoholism. In other ways, there is no comparison. It's a totally different animal, and it's kind of like we had a last Sunday. Our pastor talked about giving, and everybody always hates that topic, but we talked about it, the New Testament. Where the Old Testament, there was actually a percentage. It was actually more like 30%, not 10%, but there was actually a percentage set. In the New Testament, what's stated is, whatever you decide in your heart to give consistently, give cheerfully. The Lord loves a cheerful giver. So whatever it may be, it's whatever it is in your heart to set for yourself, discipline-wise, sugar-free ice cream, sugar-free chocolate. Do that. Don't waver from it. Do that.
But
Maybe
then
that's the way to look at it.
I go the extreme on the other way. Like last year, I was so strict, and I still do this, but I log my food, I log my macros and my exercise, to the point where I lost 10 pounds. And then I love that. So then I can stay over here and just use excuses of like, oh no, I'm good. When I'm really
So it's all a
not.
mindset, right? So we all know that the problem of addiction centers in the what?
In the head.
In
Yeah,
the
for
mind.
sure.
We have to change the way we think. We need to change those pathways, the neural pathways, and change the way we think. And we do that by utilizing all of these tools that we know that work. So I think, just this is me, and see what you think, Tom. I think the question you ask her, is she cured? No. Does she have states of recovered? Yes.
I feel I'm recovered.
Yeah, I think I know that I get the phenomenon of craving from sugar. They
you
have
really?
cookies and stuff at Steve's, and I can't stop once I start them. They are so satisfying, the sugar, to me. I can't stop. Then
Well,
once
you're an
I start-
alcoholic, right?
What?
You're allergic to alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Is there not, Alicia, probably a connection there because of the
Well,
sugar?
yeah. Sugar is. So I love it. Did I relapse because I ate 24 cookies? I don't know. I don't think I did.
Not on alcohol, you didn't.
No, on cookies. And then I'll wake up the next day with a craving if I'm not careful. But I go 2 days without it and the craving goes away.
Are
And
you in
then
a
I'm fine.
recovery program that addresses food problems?
I am not. I don't have
I don't
food
think he
problems.
has
Then
a
you didn't
problem.
relapse. Then you didn't
Yeah,
relapse.
I don't have-
You're not even addressing that.
But
I-
I guess my comment is on the addictive nature of sugar, the physical addictive, the idea that they say it's the most addictive substance on earth. And alcohol is full of sugar. It's just fermented sugar. It is sugar. That, I just would note that would be something that would happen to me. And that's why, but it wasn't like my thing that made my life unmanageable. So, right. So it'd be like a drinker who can drink and once in a while they have too many drinks, but then they don't drink for 6 weeks and they don't think about it all the time and they're not alcoholic. They don't
They're
have
not
that
alcoholic.
mindset. So, but they can even overdo it once in a while and they could go away for a weekend and have a hard time. They go on vacation. My sisters go on vacation and they drink more than they normally do. And then they come back to work and they don't do it anymore.
They're not alcoholics. They're just
Yeah.
not using wisdom. They're knuckleheads.
So I
Yeah.
could go away for a week or a weekend and eat anything I want all weekend and have these kind of cravings and feel the sugar thing. And then I come home and don't do it again for 6 months and don't even think about it. But that would be my question for someone who that did turn to unmanageability and it did result in physical manifestations that were negative. You couldn't stop, Alicia, when that thing got lit into you, where I can. But
Yes, if you're going by what the big book is talking about,
Right.
if you have a good enough reason to stop, you stop.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. But the alcoholic, or maybe even the food addict, once they start, they can't stop until something stops them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just so. So going back to the cure thing, when Bill said, Henrietta, thank God he's cured me from this terrible illness. I just want to tell everybody. I asked Chris as my mentor about that, and I said, "Are we talking semantics here?" He goes, "I believe so.
That's what I thought.
I believe so." Because you have to notice something. Nowhere else, right, in the literature does it say that. And so it's kind of like if you base everything on one statement Bill said, it's like building a whole denomination or theology around one scripture verse. You can't do that, right? It's one time. But there is tons of references to being recovered. There's tons of references of the process of recovery that leads to recovered. So we can absolutely agree on that. But I don't think Bill saying that one time is a case for it. I just don't. I don't think that's what he meant. I guess we'll have to ask him, huh?
When we get it.
When we get up there.
But like, we're showing is there's definitions. It crosses over. It wouldn't be incorrect to identify our state as cured. There's an argument that can be made. I'm not making it because of what is causing a brother to stumble, who is now going to get stuck on me because I called myself cured. That's not the point.
Yeah.
The point is, I think we got a better case of recovered. It's an easier one to say, okay, because you're right. At least as soon as you say cured, they say, well, then you can drink. Well, that's their argument about recovered. They say, well, if you're recovered, you can drink. You can never drink. You're always an alcoholic.
Have either of you had a conversation with someone from the rooms that are fervently against saying recovered, but then you show them the big book? What is their rationale? Why don't they say recovered if it's all over the big book?
Yeah, so what I found, and the few people I had that discussion with, I'll show them that, and they'll say, yeah, I heard that, but I don't buy it. That's kind of the response I get. So you don't have to agree with something that's in the big book, but it does say what it says. You can't deny it. It doesn't say that.
Right. They say, well, no, recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. I said, oh, no.
Right.
It says recovered from alcoholism.
It does.
Other places it does say we have recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body, but right here at the front it says recovered from alcoholism.
Yeah.
It says it. So it talks about their problem being solved, which is also something in the definition of recovered and cured. Something has been solved, to solve a problem.
To solve a problem.
There's so much evidence. That's all. If you're going to make an argument with the big book and the literature, you can't make it for recovering. You can make it for recovered. It makes an argument for recovered. Show me in this book the argument for recovering, and I'll show you. Can't show it to me.
Yeah.
Just like show me in this book that it says 90 and 90 and go to meetings and meetings are the program. It doesn't say that. No, I'm with you, Monty. It's like, okay, whatever you say, but it doesn't say that.
Right.
And I go back and
don't teach people that it does, because it doesn't. So
and I go back and say, you can say what you want and you can be recovering if you want, but the fact is this: the guys at the beginning did identify as recovered. It's not Tom's opinion. It's they said it. It's in their book. They wrote it in the book. They identified as recovered. So why can't we be?
Exactly.
That's all.
We can't. We can and are.
Yeah, I'm not telling you anything. I'm telling you that you can be, though. If you're not doing this, if you're just going to meetings and you're doing whatever that is, well, no, they didn't promise that either for that. They didn't promise recovered by sitting around and talking about it with people.
And the times they did meet,
Right.
they weren't doing what they do today.
Right.
They were having quiet time. They were having prayer meetings. They were reading scripture. They weren't. It wasn't the meetings of today. I'll tell you that.
No, and they'd all been through their steps
Yes.
first. They'd had spiritual awakening.
About the folks that say, well, if I'm recovered, then I can drink again, or if I'm cured, I can drink again. Okay, is that you really want to come up with that argument? Are you telling me that? Okay, so if I buy what you're saying, Monty, that I can be recovered, then what you're saying, no, I'm not saying you can drink again. I'm saying you're recovered. I'm saying that the damage is changed. You've mended fences. The symptoms are gone. That is not a justification to pick up. That's just ludicrous. That's a ludicrous argument, in my opinion. That people that do that are looking for a reason to justify their drinking or using anyway, right? So the people that are overly protective say, well, if you tell somebody he's recovered, you're just setting him up for a relapse. If you tell him he'll always be sick, you're setting him up for a relapse.
Exactly. How is recovering any better? Amen, Monty.
Yeah.
How is recovering not setting him up for a relapse?
Exactly.
It's one step closer.
And if you're on step 4 and you're in step 5 and you may be in a process of recovery, I grant you that. But once you get to 12 and you've allowed God to work through these steps the way it has for so many, and God brings you to a place where you have a spiritual awakening as the result of that step work, then you've recovered. Whether you did them in 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, 3 years, whatever, once you've had that, then you've recovered. And you're cheating yourself by referring to yourself as anything but that. Now, I will tell you, if I'm asked to speak at an AA convention, I will introduce myself. I'm Monty. I'm an alcoholic. Why? Because that's the way they like it. Mm-hmm. But somewhere in my share, I'm going to make sure that it is very clear that I have recovered. And if I do it at the very beginning, I'm going to lose half the room, and I don't want to lose half the room. But if I make sure I say it and think, hey, look, guys, you know what? As a result, because when I do my shares, I go through the steps really quick. And I go, when I get to step 12, and guess what? Because of this, I have recovered. I can claim that I am a recovered alcoholic. That means there's no phenomenon of craving because I'm not putting it in my body. And there's no obsession of the mind for me to put it in my body. Wouldn't you want that good news in your life? It's possible. It can be done, you know.
All right, here's something. Let me throw another curve at you. I looked it up too. Recovered or cured and immune are not the same thing.
Agreed.
So if you're cured, it doesn't mean you're immune. Now, immune means you can't get it again. You're protected against it, even if you're exposed to it.
Right.
Recovered. So if I'm recovered from polio, ready to go get polio, and I'm recovered. I got recovered from it. I got cured. I can go get polio again. I'm not immune from it. But if I get a vaccine that does give you immunity, you can't get polio again. You can't if you're immune from something. So
Unless
there's a
it's
difference.
a COVID vaccine.
Well, if it makes you immune. So let's see. I looked up.
I don't know if that's the same, though.
What?
I mean, is that really a fair comparison, though? Because I guess one could say the vaccine for alcoholism is the steps.
No, it's not a vaccine if you're immune.
But it's not.
You're not immune.
You're
It
not
doesn't
immune.
provide immunity. It provides recovered and cured.
Right, which is
There's
not the
many
same as immune.
diseases. No, right. There's a bunch of diseases we can be cured and recovered from, but we're not immune from.
And there's a bunch that we can be cured from that we don't get anymore, no matter what we do.
The body creates immunity. You can only
Right.
get it once. Chicken pox, you can only get once. Your body creates immunity. You don't get it again. Now, in rare cases, people do, but generally, no, you don't get it again.
Really, no. Right.
So immunity says not susceptible or responsive. Produced by, involved in, or concerning with immunity or an immune response, having or producing antibiotics, something, blah, marked by protection. This is free, exempt from the effect of something, a disease or criticism. It goes into other things. Here, I like this one where it says, you are, protected or exempt, especially from an obligation or the effects of something. unsusceptible, free from. So that takes it to another level, but they don't say immune. Nowhere does it say you're immune. So I think that I just had to throw another wrench in this. But,
Sure.
and maybe that helps people to understand recovered, cured. We're not saying immune, and neither does cured.
Right. Right.
So
And I think the people, when we have a problem within the circles of the faith community about the cured thing, well, you're cured. You're cured. All right. I don't want to argue with you. You want to, if you want to say I'm cured, that's fine. That's cool. I am telling you though, just like any medical condition, and oops, there it is. Because a lot of the people I'm talking to about this in the faith community don't want to see it as a medical condition. They want to see it as a moral failing. They can't separate the two, right? The things that I do behind it, moral failings, absolutely, right? But the fact that my body responds to alcohol differently than my twin brother, for instance, if I was born that way, I was born that way. I don't bear any responsibility for that. When I was in junior high school and I was curious and I took a drink, my body reacted. I didn't know it was going to react to it like it reacted to it, but it did. Right? Now I'm in trouble. So did I have a choice and so forth in the very beginning? Maybe, yeah, okay. But that's not where I'm at today. Where I'm at today is a person who has recovered from this. And so I think there's a problem with people of faith a lot of times because they don't see the medical part of it. All they see is the symptoms. We robbed their house. We stole their car. We drove over their cat while we were drinking and driving. Whatever it is we did, they're sick and tired of us doing that stuff. We did stupid drunk stuff, right? Or stupid dope stuff or whatever. And so they want to say, hey, Jack, you need to buck up and admit your sin. This is a moral failing, and if you keep doing it, it's because it's a moral failing. They don't see the medical part at all.
That's the same with sugar. People with diabetes and obese people, 1 out of 3 of them or 2 out of 3, I forget the stats, are addicts. But they won't admit it or they don't believe it because everybody's eating it. And then our marketing, everything, and the processed food is made to make you addicted. I mean, hello.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then obesity and diabetes is a symptom, but now 80% of our world are obese, so nobody sees it anymore.
So when we see a person who is obviously overweight and we don't know them, we have no idea of their medical history. If this is because of a genetic thing, if it's because of choice, it's whatever, we don't know them. We are so quick to judge, aren't we? When we see them at the local Sizzler or something, and they're not eating stuff that's good for them. They're got 3 helpings of ice cream. They're eating tons and tons and tons of carbs, and we sit back and we go, that person has no willpower. What's wrong with them?
Which could be true.
Could be true.
But we don't know.
But we don't know. We don't know. So we make a judgment call and say, yeah, look how sloppy that person is. They should be ashamed of themselves. I mean,
But most likely it's addiction.
most likely it is.
And then it's just so complicated. Because then what do we do with that? Right. People that not only strangers, people we know and that I'm around all the time, and I have to just shut my mouth.
Well, I mean, Alicia, I think what he's getting at is it's the same as addiction. Like when we see the drunk at the bar,
Yeah.
so it's so clear. Why can't you just stop? You're just, it's the same thing with the food. We're judging them. They're terrible. They're all sloppy. They can't
Why
stop.
don't you stop? And they
But
can't.
They can't. I mean, all the evidence is there about your health and your thing and the medical evidence, and you got to stop sugar. You're an addict to sugar. Just don't eat it. Same thing. They can't do. That didn't work for us.
We sit there and we go, that's this guy's 3rd piece of cake. That's insanity, right? Yes, exactly.
Right,
Insanity.
right,
What is
right.
insanity? There's an issue going on. There's an illness going on in the brain. It's a medical problem. They didn't wake up that morning saying that, they wanted to I'm going to ruin my life and I'm going to choose to do it. You're putting that second piece of cake in your mouth. You're not doing it because you choose to. You are living in a compulsivity. Your hand is reaching for it. It's going into your mouth, and you have no ability to not do that any more than you have the ability to turn yourself into a leprechaun.
So, well, here's the counter argument that Alicia and
Left
I
to your
would
own
make.
devices, let me say.
Yeah, let's make the counter argument that Alicia and I would make is that once I think, and so you've gone through our steps in the program, and you've learned how to, have live in the go, and you've got to have a spiritual awakening, and you're manage those character defects, and you live in 10, 11, and 12. Why wouldn't it now flow into your eating?
Exactly.
I knew you were going to regret.
problem
She's
lies.
like, why? It's different to someone that hasn't been through but if you've been through the program, then
And
it's
leading the programs.
and
is
so you've
like-
seen what insanity. You know what it is that you're conditioned to allow that addiction to continue in you. You do have the tools.
Tom,
And
here's
anyway,
the thing, though.
I don't know.
And you're right. You're
I
right.
don't
Because let me tell you, okay, so the areas of my life that I started surrendering to God other than alcohol and narcotics, right, were areas that once I was freed from the obsession of using and drinking, God revealed to me some other issues that I was having. And I was able to slowly, with each of them, one of them was abusing money, was to bring that under surrender, just like I did with my substance abuse, into the throne room of grace and start working a 12-step solution around those. But in order to do that, I had to recognize that I had an issue, right? You can't fix what you don't acknowledge. Just like with my alcoholism and my narcotic addiction. Until I was able to acknowledge, step one, that I actually had a problem, that I was powerless. Why would I seek a power if I don't think I'm powerless? And so there were certain areas of my life.
I want to just blurt out stuff that I know I'm going to get in trouble
okay.
for, but I'm going to say it. If you are overweight, there's a problem.
Sure. But if you're not convinced that there is, you're not going to work on it.
Well,
And
what
until
do you
you-
need to be convinced by?
I don't know. Everybody's a little different.
I know. I'm wired. I'm with you. When you look in the mirror and you see if you're not doing, I don't understand how you don't want to do
I don't
something
either.
about
I'm
it.
not
That's
shaming.
me.
I mean, I'm not. People might think I am. I'm not. I
You're
just
not
think
what?
if you're on a bunch of meds and your joints hurt and you're overweight and you keep eating,
Okay, you would think,
There's
but
a problem.
denial is a very strong thing. Apply it to your alcoholism. It
But
was
if they're-
it was huge.
sober from alcohol and drugs already, they know the steps.
It's
I-
just, and
I'm
you know, we're
telling
not
you
in.
that we can be blind. We can be blinded to certain things until we're not. And sometimes it takes an intervention. Sometimes it takes other people in our life. Maybe it's the doctor that intervenes and says, "You're going to die, sucker." But sometimes it takes that. It isn't just because, well, now I understand how to apply and implement everything in the 12 steps
Well,
in my life.
in all our affairs.
There
But
you go.
I don't think
Why
that happens
don't they
instantly.
see it?
It doesn't happen instantly.
Yeah, this is a good thing that people should be hearing, though, guys. I mean, we're batting this thing around. People think
Yeah.
that. I don't think this is bad. Because, Alicia, you're
Oh.
right. I think the same way you do. I do.
yeah,
And I'm not saying I'm an angel. I mean, I have pride. I have issues with
No.
scared of people.
I know.
And
Why
I'm
don't
in
you
it.
apply the 12
I am
steps?
totally,
Touche.
I totally have
Why
the
don't you
same
apply the
stuff.
12
Touche.
Why don't you apply the 12 steps in the way you judge others in? Haven't you figured that out yet?
Touche.
No, I know. That's why I had to say
But-
that out loud.
Right.
Because
Yeah, but I don't-
totally.
But Alicia would say it's a problem. And she
Yeah,
is
at least
working
I'm
on it.
admitting
get it.
it.
But
And she is
did
working
you
on it.
always know that? Did you? There was a time in your life that you didn't think it was a problem until you did, right? And so that person that is obese which, by the way, is only 10 pounds overweight. So if you're, and most people are obese.
80%
But if you're
of the world.
morbidly obese, and the rest of us are going, especially me, because this dropping 60 pounds is a new thing to me. I'm going, man, that guy could, man, if he could get into his clothes too. Why doesn't he do it? I feel like I got to go tell him, hey, man, you don't have to live this way.
See?
He doesn't know yet. He doesn't know yet. Just because we see it and we apply it to our life doesn't mean that everybody falls in line with us.
So we just let them get sicker and more meds
No,
and pain
we offer them the
complain
solution.
and watch them eat cake?
Sometimes we do. Sometimes we have to sit back and watch a person drink themselves to death.
I can't handle
It's
it.
funny, guys.
anymore.
You have to travel with Alicia. It's so much fun. You travel
If
with
we are
her.
going to apply what we've learned about ourselves and our impatience with others, i.e. resentments, right? If we're going to apply the things we've learned about emotional sobriety in our 12 steps, we've got to apply it to the way we see others and their dysfunctions.
I want that thing. Anyway, you want that thing?
There it is.
Well, I think we're being real, and and you're right. Where we see that there are things that we, like Alicia would say, she's not doing that good on judgment, even though she gets it. She's not doing that good, so it would align her to say, well, she can see someone who's not eating well. They know it, but they're not doing that good at it. But they're trying.
So I'm going
Well,
to
I think that's the difference. And here comes my pride. I'm saying it out loud on
Yeah.
the stage.
yeah.
They'll just keep eating and say nothing.
Okay, but there was a time you weren't doing that. Remember that time. Don't forget from whence you came.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to call myself out when it comes to political viewpoints. I'm like you with the other thing. I'm like, what are you blind? Yes, they are. Mm-hmm. Yes, they are. Mm-hmm. It's a spiritual blindness, because people either, and I don't have to say what side of the fence I'm on to say this. If people are either so stupid or they're brainwashed, or maybe, and I've come to the decision, they're neither. It's a spiritual blindness that the enemy of our soul is putting on people because they're not that stupid and they haven't been brainwashed. And it's like, okay, if I'm holding this pen up, this pen is white. No, it's blue. Wait a minute. There's something wrong with the lenses in your eyes. Yeah, there is. It's a spiritual blindness. And so, but I can get really judgmental too and go, why can't they just see this? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because they don't. We're out of time.
We are. We went over. Oof.
This was great. This was good. So all of you that are in adult residential treatment or whatever, and you're watching this podcast, let me tell you, we love you, and I hope you love us too.
And email us if you want us to talk about something or you have a question for us.
Yeah, please
About
do.
us.
Please do. Here's the bottom line. There is freedom from bondage. Whether you want to call it recovered, whether you want to call it cured, whether you want to call it free from, whatever. There is freedom from bondage. That's the great news. Regardless of what your opinions on this thing, don't you want to be free? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you do. Okay. Our closing song is called Black Sheep. Some people may be feeling like they're the black sheep. They're kind of scratching their head right now. I don't know what I am. There's good news. This is Ben Fuller with his song Black Sheep. Then we'll come back with my closing thoughts. Here's Ben.
You broke through 1,000 fences, been rescued from 1,000 ditches. You still swear you don't fit in, so you kick and scream and you're gone again, wandering off into the devil's wind. How's it going out there? is he'll never leave you be. Jesus loves you, black sheep. You hate everything about you. You think we're better off without you. You wear your pain out on your sleeve and you paint it on in a rebel ink. But the alcohol and pills ain't fixed a thing. So how's it going out there? Acting like you ain't scared. How's that heart of stone? It ain't so hard when you're alone. Crying tears you hope nobody sees. Guess the good news is he'll never leave you be. Jesus loves you, black sheep. Jesus loves you, black sheep. Can't tell you when I ain't no prophet, but there'll come a point in time when you can't stop it. The good shepherd's love smells like smoke. There ain't no hell so low where he won't let the hounds of heaven go. Second, let the hounds of heaven go. So how's it going out there? Acting like you ain't scared. How's that heart of stone? Ain't so hard when you're alone. Crying tears you hope nobody sees. Guess the good news is he'll never leave you be. An amazing grace is a pesky, pesky thing. But the good news is he'll never leave you be. Jesus loves you, black sheep. Jesus loves you, black sheep.
Well, chances are, if you are listening to this podcast, there has been, there currently is, or there will be times in your life when you are 100% convinced that you are the black sheep, the odd person out, the unwanted, unneeded, and worthless than dirt. Well, you're in good company, because we have all felt that way. And for those of us in the recovery community, it's a state we know all too well. Understand that though you may currently identify as the black sheep, the Lord sees you as his precious child, needing comfort, direction, and love, and he is ready and willing to fulfill your need just as you sit there now listening to the sound of my voice. You may believe that you can never recover from your seemingly hopeless state of mind and body. But look around you. The rooms, the highways, and byways are filled with folks just like you who at one time felt the same hopeless heartache and have recovered to be reacquainted with their authentic self. The truth is, until the Lord returns to take us home, we will never be cured of our tendency to serve our flesh. But when we do, the Word of God says we have an advocate with the Father in Jesus Christ, the Son. We can turn to him on a daily basis and experience a state of recovered. The basic text of Narcotics Anonymous, page 86, says, "The time has come when that tired old lie, once an addict, always an addict, will no longer be tolerated by either society or the addict himself." We do recover. My friends, That's good news. And it is certainly something to think about. Came to Believe Recovery strives to create and promote opportunities for life-changing spiritual experiences for individuals and families suffering from all forms of addiction. For more information, help, and support, visit cametobelieverecovery.org. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to be your host on this episode of the Came to Believe Recovery podcast. And I would encourage you to like, bookmark, and subscribe to this show. When you do, you will join the Take 12 Recovery Radio family and will be notified of all of our recovery-focused shows throughout the week. Until our next broadcast, when we provide the essential spiritual tools needed to thrive by sharing our experience, our strength, and our hope through our stories of how we came to believe.
This has been a production of Take 12 Recovery Radio.
Yeah, kitty, kitty, kitty. Meow.
Woof, woof.
This has been a Chicken and a Pig production.